This is the Church of St. Paul in the Desert.
If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Some years ago, I got lucky at a drawing, and I drew a $50 gift certificate for a kind of funky jewelry store. The sort of jewelry I don't often wear, but with a $50 gift certificate, I knew I had to get in there and find some way to spend it. I noticed as I walked into this funky jewelry store that the clientele was probably much younger than I, maybe even younger than my son. And so I began feeling just ever so slightly out of place. I still determined that I was going to spend my $50 gift certificate somehow. So I kept thinking of what I would like to get, and then realized I didn't really like any of the things I saw. Maybe I could get a gift for somebody of a good age range who liked these kinds of jewelry items. So I started looking again with the eye of a gift I could get for one of the young folks I knew. So as I was stewing over this with all sorts of earrings and bangles and bracelets and necklaces, I heard a conversation take place with a woman at the counter. Into the store came a young woman, very bouncy, lively young person. And she said to the woman behind the counter, "Do you have crosses?" And she said, "Crosses." The woman held up, "You know those things that you wear around your neck?" "Oh, crosses. Yes, I think we do." So she went into a drawer and opened the drawer and rummaged around. And the saleswoman turned to the customer and said, "Now, will you be wanting a cross with the little man on it?" And you can't believe what was going through my mind. I had 4 sermons that popped out in my mind. Immediately, I thought, oh, wait till I go and tell her. And then I thought, Chilton, just shut up. Let the conversation continue. See what happens. Go over here and be an observer. This is a moment. Listen and watch. And so the customer said, "I don't know. What difference does it make?" Then I had a few more sermons that were... And the salesperson said, "I don't know, but some people seem to like having the little man on them." So she said, "Well, let me see both kinds." So she was looking at both kinds of crosses. And ultimately she said, I don't get the little man, so just give me the cross all by itself." And so a plain cross, no corpus, no little man on it, was sold. And as I was engaging as a bystander eavesdropper to this conversation, I began thinking everything from, this is a teachable moment, help this girl as she leaves the store, take her for coffee, help her understand the cross, versus what are the youth coming to? Why don't their parents take their children to Sunday school? How could you deny someone the opportunity to learn the mystery of the cross? To, well, maybe her parents aren't Christian, maybe they're some other denomination, and why would she pick a cross for her friend if she doesn't know what it means? Do you understand that a whole committee convened in my head? And this committee was having such an interesting meeting, talking back and forth. Fortunately, nobody said a word out loud. But needless to say, I didn't forget that, and I continue to remember it. And here is something that I know. The people who heard Jesus talk about it for the first time were equally clueless. And in the gospel reading we have to consider today, Jesus, to set the stage a bit, Jesus has just been recognized as the Messiah, the waited for, hoped for, longed for Messiah. And then no sooner does that moment of clarity happen than Jesus begins to call himself by another name. He calls himself Son of Man, and he begins to talk about a destiny far different from the destiny Israel attributed to the royal figure of the Messiah for which they waited. The Messiah was coming to restore political, economic, social order to the nation of Israel. The Messiah was going to put things right, doggone it, was going to lift up the oppressed of Israel, take off the yoke of their bondage, restore them to the dignity and to the nobility of their former life situation. The Messiah was going to be a royal figure coming into town kind of in a chariot, or at least a sedan chair, or at least with a huge parade and a lot of fanfare. So when Jesus, who has just been acknowledged as the Messiah, turns to talk to his followers, and indeed to talk openly, to say, let me explain. The Son of Man, his title for himself there, the Son of Man will be rejected by the religious authorities. Scratch off one hope. The Son of Man will be tortured and killed. Scratch off another hope. And the Son of Man will be raised on the third day. Peter understandably wishes Jesus would not be raving such nonsense, that he would be acting more messianic. And so Peter rebukes him. The two of them have an exchange, and out of that exchange comes some of the strongest poetry and some of the most challenging words in the Gospels. If anyone would follow me, let them take up their cross and follow me. If anyone would follow me, let them take up their cross. And then, perhaps more challenging, whoever seeks to save their life will lose it. So here we have, across the counter of a jewelry store of long ago, Jesus describing what the cross means, and Peter having none of it. The cross was a known instrument of torture. We who think of it as jewelry, or as decoration, or as an architectural piece, I fear we have lost much of the power of the cross as an image in the way Jesus was using the term.